Hey gang, I'm Luke and welcome to Down from the Attic Modern Classics, where I show you new games that you might not have heard of, but are well worth checking out. Today I'm looking at a game that I've had for nearly 2 years, and I've only really just scratched the surface of all the different ways this thing can be played. Trust me, I've not been slacking on this, and believe me when I say this game looks deceptively simple. This week we're looking at the fantastic building game Santorini. Let's check this thing out.
First off, box art, and this is wonderful. Cartoony and detailed, it shows exactly what you'll be doing, assuming the role of gods and building the town of Santorini. By the way, Santorini is absolutely a real place, a Greek island in the Aegean Sea. And one of the more prominent features of Santorini is the white buildings capped with blue domes. Which brings us nicely onto the contents, and holy crap, there's a lot here. There's the island pedestal which the board sits on, not needed it at all, but the theming is on point. There's a bunch of building bases, midsections, column upper portions and the domes. These are all fantastically moulded and detailed, little windows and staircases, really gives the feel of building a little town. It's very charming. Included 2 of the play pieces, again superbly detailed and designed, and a deck of cards which, again, the art is just gorgeous on these. Each depicts a god and each has a different power. More on this soon. Full marks though for art and theming, it all looks spectacular. At the real heart of this is a 2-player game. The box says that it can be played 4-player, but this at its heart is a 2-player game, it really is. In fact, the rules clearly say that this game is best as a 2-player game. It's how I've played it the most times, so this review is from that standpoint. In the game, you'll be racing to build and climb to the highest point on Santorini, a 3-storey construction, and move one of your play pieces to the top. First to climb to a 3rd-storey position wins the game. You move first, then build. Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? My friends, don't be fooled. This game is deceptively deep. Let me explain how a very basic introductory game is played. The board is a 5x5 grid, and if you picture the middle line of the board being a divide, you can place your 2 worker play pieces wherever you wish on your side. I normally rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first, and the game begins. On a turn, you move and then you build. You can choose to move either figure in one of the 8 squares around them. Once moved, you then build on one of the 8 squares around your play piece, naturally starting with the base pieces.
Turn by turn, you'll move and build, move and build, move and build.
You have to be stood next to a base piece to build the next level onto it, and this is how you begin to build vertically. And after a few turns, what was once just a field is a pretty cute Mediterranean village. However, your opponent is doing the exact same thing, trying to build upwards and climb upwards before you. And well, no, that just won't do, will it? It won't do, you have to stop them. And stop them you can. You can opt to drop a dome onto any building of any height, and this stops anyone from climbing it. There is such satisfaction to completely ruining an opponent's plan this way, but we're just scratching the surface of strategy in this game. This game doesn't have it in spades, it has it in earth-moving dump trucks full. Climbing up and down in this game, you can only climb 1 story at a time, so you'll have to be building buildings at varying heights and jump from one to the other to climb to victory. You can, however, drop down from any height. This can be used to move quickly to block an opponent's route, and also can be used in much more malicious ways. You'll need to be sly and tactful to keep building and keep climbing, but also squash your opponent's efforts and fend off their attempts to stop you. Having 2 characters to control really helps in this regard, and you can use one to climb whilst the other is slapping domes on anything your opponent tries to do. It's maliciously evil, and I love doing this. As mentioned, even in the base game there is a ton of strategy and forward thinking with Santorini. You can be very subtle and subversive in your moves and plays, making your opponent think that you're focusing on one route while deftly setting up another one that they couldn't see. And again, I really enjoy this. How and where you position your playpiece can have an immediate effect on your opponents, and can in certain circumstances block them in. If I'm on this square here, their only way of moving on the rooftops is taken, and they have to drop down. They have to move. And as mentioned, you can drop down multiple stories, but you can't climb up more than one. And now, yep, this player is trapped down there. Gleeful, ain't it? Similarly, they could be on a tower surrounded by dome buildings. Just stand on the space they could jump back down to, and they're stuck. There are tons of instances in Santorini where clever placement can really scupper attempts and totally screw over the other player.
And that was just the base game of this, the bare bones way of playing it. The real way to play this game is with the god cards.
And there's 30 different gods to play with, all Greek gods too, adding more to the theming. The gods are grouped into two categories, beginner and experienced, and you can tell the difference between these two with the little logos in the corner. Gods grant you extra powers and conditions on how to play. For example, Artemis allows you to move 2 spaces each turn, which could be incredibly useful. Gods like Pan allow you to win by jumping from 2 stories or more, which gives your opponent something else to be concerned about. Hypnos, if one of your opponents is higher than anybody else's, the others cannot move. Selene allows to slap domes on the ground. Hestia can build twice, and honestly, all of these have fantastic effects to the game. Some of these cards are far more powerful than others, but that's just down to which are drawn. There's literally hundreds of ways that these can be combined and played with, and more than likely, each time you bring the game out, it'll play differently. Talk about longevity! Oh, and if that isn't enough, well, there's expansions with even more gods.
I've had Santorini now for about 2 years, and I've put off doing a review of this game because I wanted to try out all the different variables of this game, all the different god types and how they stack up and compete against each other. But I realise now that I'm probably going to be drawing a pension before I even come close to doing that. There are hundreds of different variables to this game, hundreds of different game types, and honestly, I love this game for it. The fact that the gameplay is so simple at the base of it, like the very core basic gameplay, you know, new players can get the mechanics of moving and building and having to climb up to the 3rd level pretty quickly, and then you can drop the god cards on them and blow their minds with how many different ways this game can be played. I would say that this game is an absolute must-have for any board game aficionado. The artwork, the gameplay, the theming, the mechanics are all spot on, top notch, and I really cannot fault this game. You should absolutely check this one out. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's supported and subscribed to the channel. I'm up to 700 subscribers, and it honestly doesn't seem that long ago that I was coming to you saying thank you so much for getting me up to 600 subscribers. 700 is just, in such a small time. I'm really very appreciative of the support, and I'm quite humbled by it as well. I will continue to keep making videos for you, and as always, I'm Luke. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.